Hey, in today's video I want to show you how to make a light control system. Within a few minutes, with 0 lines of code, I'm going to create a light control system for my phone. Let's start. So it's time to go to bed. I brush my teeth, wash my face, and off to bed I go. That would be so comfortable, but once again I've forgotten to turn off the lights. If only I had the power, just like in Star Wars, to turn off the lamp without leaving my bed. Hold on. We live in a digital age. We have technologies ranging from self-driving cars, robot vacuums, and even lamps, all controllable through a smartphone. My lamp is part of the list, so why don't I just get up and create an app which makes my lamp smart and lets me control it with my phone. So, off the bed and on to work. So the first question I would ask myself is, what do I need? Hardware-wise, I need a smart lamp, a Raspberry 2 gateway, and a Raspberry Pi. You can find more information on that in the description box. Software-wise, I would need FIGMA, Bravo, and Titan. That's it. So, how would such a system look like at the end? So, my system is built in the following way. Through FIGMA, I'm going to design my app. Through Bravostudio, I'm going to connect the app design with the control logic. And finally, I'm going to use Titan to enable controlling of the lamp. The whole thing assembled together looks like this. I can change the color of the lamp. I can see the color the lamp is currently showing. I can also turn the lamp off and also on. As I only use Figma for designing the app, I already have something prepared, which I will explain too. So, over to Figma. Two things here are crucial so that the design works flawlessly with Bravostudio. In order for my main page on the top left to be connected with the other pages, it is important that I connect the buttons to the other pages. So, I'm going to select the object, go to prototype, and then select a function, just like I'm doing it here. And I'm going to do this for all 3 buttons. Now only the functionalities of the components are missing. Bravostudio needs to know what design element has what functionality, and for that, I can use tags when naming the components. A list of tags can be found in the Bravostudio documentation, and for my app I'm going to use the following, what you can see. So, where are we with the final product? I just completed the design of the app in Figma, and the only things remaining are Bravostudio and Titan. So for the next steps, I'm going to be working with Titan, so I can prepare the REST API of the app. So, off to Titan. First of all, I need 2 REST requests for my lamp. Through that, the controlling of the lamp will be done. So for that, we're going to place 2 request bricks into the canvas. The REST URL is partly comprised of the name of our bricks. I'm gonna change the name of these bricks so I can have a different URL for my light and state requests. I'm going to start with preparing the GET request for the state brick. A response brick has 2 ports. The port on top is a GET request, and the port on bottom is a POST request. The GET request will be used by the app so it can know which color the lamp actually has. Now for the next step, I'm going to add a HTTP client general brick into the flow. I'm doing this so that the smart lamp has an interface to read the status. The HTTP client general brick will use this interface to ask for the status of the lamp and also the color. So let's connect the 2 bricks. And now opens the port mapping dialog. For more info about this dialog, I'll link the video where you can learn how to map ports in details. To summarize, in the port mapping dialog, I'm connecting my data source to the data target. In between these bricks, I don't really need to send any data, however, I need to save the request ID in the buffer. The request ID is the ID of the request, so that the bricks know where to send the answer back to. I'll explain this bit later. The lamp is going to send its color in the HSL color space. I'm using an API for the app that generates a color that reflects the actual color of the lamp. but for that I need to prepare the colors in RGB color space, and for that I'll use the hue to hex brick. The HTTP client brick will give out the data of the lamp as JSON and as plain text. As I need the data in JSON format, I'll use the port in the bottom. So both these bricks need to be connected again. The HTTP client general brick knows what data it will output, and for that we need to define the data. I'm going to define first the hue, then I'm going to define the saturation, and then finally the brightness. At the end, I'll go ahead and connect the variables with each other. A few of the bricks also need personal configuration. For that, I can click on the brick, and on the right hand side I can set them. The HTTP client brick needs the URL of the API of the lamp. Let me just type that in real quick. Now I need to generate a URL from the RGB color space, and for that I would need the simple template processor. The simple template processor receives data and a predefined template with keywords that are based on the data. It combines all of that and outputs it as string. And for all of that to function, the variables need to be defined. So let's connect these two bricks. Color is a keyword that I will use at the end in the template. And now I can configure the template with the data that needs to be filled in. I need to be careful now that I use the same keyword that I defined in the port mapping dialog. To do that, I need to type the keyword after a $sign. Now my data is ready and we can go back to the app. And now I'll use the response brick. Let's go ahead and connect the two bricks. The app needs to find the data which I'll send back to it, and for that I'll add all the variables I need in the request object. In this case, it is the URL of the color as a string, and as we already know, we have the request ID in the buffer. This is now important so that the response brick knows which request it needs to answer to. It requires a request ID. Let's go and connect all of them. Alright, so the first request is now complete, and now we move on to the next request. The app needs to let the user change the color of the lamp. The color will be given in the app as a hexadecimal number within the RGB color space. The lamp, however, needs a color value within the HSL color space. So, to convert the colors, we're going to use the hex to hue brick. Let's go ahead and connect the bricks. Now, I need access to the data of the request. For that, I'll add a variable called body, and in this body will be the variables I will send in the request. I'll go ahead and add color, and in color, I will find the sent color value. I'll connect this color to the input of the target brick. Eventually, the HSL value can be sent to a REST API of the lamp to change the color of it. I'll use the same request to turn the lamp off and on. Now I'll put the HTTP writer brick into the flow. The request will get the new color as a JSON object, and for that I'll define the three color values. First of all, the hue, then I'll go ahead and add the saturation, and then finally the brightness. And once again, let's connect all these values together. I'll go ahead and configure the HTTP writer as well so I can access the request. The app needs an answer to know if the post request was successful. So for that, I'll connect the request and the response brick directly, and then connect the request ID as well. Now I can get the color of the lamp and also change the color of the lamp. The only thing remaining now is turning the lamp on and off. For that, I'll use the light brick. The light brick gets the on and off commands as a Boolean value. I'll go ahead and define them now. I'll first add the body and then the on value. And since the HTTP writer also needs the on value, I'll go ahead and add them and connect them. For the final step, I'm going to connect the light brick with the response brick so that the app knows that the request was successful. And that was it. The backend is now complete and can be turned on. Let us take a look at the roadmap again. The design is ready in FIGMA. The backend is also ready through the Titan platform. The only thing left now is Bravostudio. That being said, off to Bravostudio. In Bravostudio, I'm going to import my FIGMA project. To do that, I'll just paste the URL of the app here. All the pages are now ready, and the next step will be now to create the data library. The data library is a collection of REST API requests. I'll add a custom request and type in a name. And start with configuring the GET request to read the color of the lamp. First of all, I'll add the URL of the state brick. The URL will look something like this. I can now click on Send to test my request and see down here what data do I have and what can I add to the app. For that, I'll click on this checkbox here and then change the name of the request. And now I can add another request and change to type post so that I can change the color of the lamp. The URL will be the same as before. The post request, however, needs a color that must be sent with the request. I'll add this as a JSON, and for that I'll go to the body tab and click on JSON. Now I can define the data that I need to send. The color is now dependent to what I type in, and that's why I'll use a variable. A variable can be used with a $sign with two curly braces around the name. In order for the request to work for the first time, I'll add in the color variable. And now I'll go ahead and test the request again. And it works. I'll just change the name of the request here so I can use the request again later. So now, only two requests are missing, the on and off request. Let's go ahead and add them now. The only difference between this request and the previous one is that this time I won't be using any variable, but rather a hard-coded value. And also, I'll be sending the request to the light brick. In this case, I'll be sending in a JSON object that will have the command for turning on the lamp. I'll change the name again and then make the final request. This request is same as the one before, however, the command we send will be for turning the lamp off. The data library is now ready. Now we can go and start with data binding. For that, we can go ahead and select a page. I'll now select the data library, then the corresponding REST request. Next, I'll search for the button and click on it, and then on the right side, I'll select the request that it needs to send. I'll do the same with the on page. And now the page where we change colors. We carry out the same steps, however, we also search for our text field. And under content, I can connect my variable color with the input field. Now all we have remaining is connecting the red background with the generated URL of the new color. This time I'll assign the saved variable from the request, from under content to the red background field. And with that, we are done with Bravostudio. Alright, I'm now done. The whole app is now live and I've written 0 lines of code. So, back to bed. This time, I can now turn my lights off without needing to get up. Phone out, lights off, and good night. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you're interested in more technical stuff related to Titan, then subscribe to this channel and wait for updates. We've linked 2 more videos here, so you can check them out for more insight on how Titan works. We'll see each other in the next one. Bye!